You know any jokes about that? I've got a really... Do you want to hear a really bad joke about vampires?
Let's start the show and then we can do it.
But I want to tell you this really bad joke about vampires first, though. This was a joke that, like, you know when you're like 6, and just the fact that a joke has a punchline is hilarious.
Can you tell this joke once we've started? Record the joke. Hang on.
Is the mic not on?
Yeah, but we're not. I haven't. Let's do this.
Loose.
It's not loose enough that there's no intro. It has to start.
Whatever, bring it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Thriving Scrubs. We're continuing our venture through Ixalan. Today it's vampires.
I didn't think vampires were going to be in Ixalan when it was announced. It didn't look like the kind of place where vampires would be showing up.
No, it seemed like a place where, well, to be fair, we are in a realm where both pirates and dinosaurs, good start. Pirates and dinosaurs both exist in the same place, so why not throw some vampires in?
Why not? Yeah, I mean, and they're pretty cool. They've got they've done something a bit new with them.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they're still
good.
white black, but yeah. Do you happen to know any jokes about vampires, Dave?
Yeah, I do actually, because when I was 6 years old,
Yeah.
I used to tell this joke all the time, and it's really bad. So
I actually, for the record, I don't know what this joke is yet.
What do vampire doctors say?
I don't know. I can't be bothered to.
Next. It's terrible.
That's just a pun. That's not
so
a joke.
Bad.
That's not a joke.
I had like one of those stupid, massive 1,001 hilarious jokes, and like 2 of them were good.
Was that one of them?
No.
Right, let's get into this before... Right. So we're going to talk about the vampire creature cards and a few non-creature spells.
Usually those that refer to vampires or vampires.
Because we will be talking, as ever, in this series of videos about the tribe of vampires within Limited, within drafting and sealed, unless we...
pre-release.
Yeah, and pre-release, which is soon. Unless we specifically say constructed, or I'm afraid I am going to talk about modern for one of these cards, but only one, I promise.
Jesus.
Okay?
Right. Way to alienate the fans.
I'm sorry.
All right,
but
bring it.
I know all about... I play vintage. Right. So, should we start off with 2 bad commons?
Yeah,
Ready?
bring it.
Ready?
Yeah, I love it.
Queen's Bay Soldier costs 1 and a black for a 2/2 vampire soldier. Good. Moving on.
Is that it?
It's a vampire bear, and the thing is, they aren't like merfolk where they have lots of cards that say put +1/+1 counter on target merfolk, or target merfolk gains hexproof. They don't do it, so that's a card. Skyblade of the Legion costs 1 and a white for a vampire soldier. It's a 1/3 with flying. Every set's got one, and this time
most sets have one.
It's a vampire.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I like that. I'm into a 1/3 flyer.
Do you want to talk about 2 good commons?
Yeah, tell me about 2 good commons so that we can get... I don't even know why we mentioned those other ones.
I just thought I would.
All right, fine.
Bishop's Soldier costs 1 and a white for a vampire soldier. It's a 2/2 with a lifelink.
Yeah, now that's the real deal.
That's significantly better.
Because Child of Night is like a classic common.
That's a 2/1
with lifelink,
yeah.
and this is strictly better than that.
It is.
I don't even know if Child of Night's a soldier, so it doesn't even have that going for it.
I couldn't tell you.
I think
off
it's just
the
a
top of my
vampire,
head.
but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, 2/2 lifelink for 2. That is.
No, it's really good at common.
Way better than a 2/2.
Because
for 2.
if the whole idea of Limited is that you basically trade off your 2 drops, you trade off your 3 drops, you trade off your 4 drops, and whoever sort of is still left with the most wins. So if you're trading off a 2 drop for a 2 drop, or this for a 3 drop, and you're gaining 2 life, that's really nice.
And then you could put some equipment on it. You could enchant it.
You've changed, man. You're talking about equipment and
I'm saying you could. I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying.
Taking all the mark of vampires.
Well, if there's some good equipment that you've got, you might want to put it with this.
Yeah. Skymarch Bloodletter costs 2 and a black for a 2/2 vampire soldier. It has flying. When Skymarch Bloodletter enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good comment.
I mean, that's a Windrake with a nice effect, with a little drain on it.
Yeah, that's a 2-point damage swing.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny little siege rhino.
Just the smallest siege rhino.
It's like a really bad...
Oh, guys, it is not...
Rhino.
Don't repeat that to anybody. You'll get kicked out of whichever establishment you're in. It is
No,
not.
do it. It's
not
it.
Siege Rhino. But
no, but there's nothing.
No, I get what
there's
you're
nothing
saying.
better than just when you're sitting at a draft table and someone's taking it really seriously, and you just offhand you say something sarcastically and they don't get it. And I really like that sort of. It's not rage, but it's just like silent judgment directed in your direction.
Yeah. Judgment that you welcome with open arms.
Yeah. Exactly.
This Bloodletter then, Windrake is a generic term for a 2/2 flyer for 3,
Yeah.
and this is that, but you get to drain, which is really nice.
Yeah, and a Windrake is like your sort of bog standard down the middle. This is a card you'll often play kind of common, depending on the set.
Yeah,
depending
exactly.
on the set.
So I like it. Those are some good commons. Moving on with the commons. Tell me how you feel about this one. Queen's Agent costs 5 and a black for a 3/3 vampire scout. It has lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores.
A 3/3 for 5.
3/3 for 6.
3/3 for 6.
Yeah, with lifelink that explores. So, as with all explore cards, it kind of is 2 cards in one. It's either a 4/4 with lifelink for 6 that scries, or it's a 3/3 with lifelink for 6 that draws you a land.
Well, I feel like the standard recently has been you pay 5 mana for a 3/4 with lifelink. We've seen various versions of that.
Yeah, true enough.
And paying 6 mana for a 3/3 with lifelink that gets you a land, that's decent. I think this is probably going to be filler.
Yeah, I
don't
think
see it being great.
The explore cards that we talked about, the Merfolk explore cards that we talked about yesterday, are all a bit more exciting than this. And with this set, more than perhaps recent sets, paying 6 mana for a creature, you expect that creature to be good, to be big, to be, quite frankly, a dinosaur. If your 6-drop is a 3/3 with lifelink and it comes up against, a charging Monstrosaur, then you're going to look like a bit of a fool.
Going to look like a mug.
Yeah.
I do like the art though. It looks like he's decided to pose for a painting on like a really creepy tree.
Yeah, I like to think that this tree is like 2 feet off the ground. It's just painted in such a way. He's like, I'm just going to climb onto this fallen branch.
The artist has added the tree afterwards. He did this in a studio.
Oh god, no. This is an interesting card. Legion Conquistador. And this is one we're going to have to talk about with limited and constructed. It costs 2 and a white for a 2/2 vampire soldier. When Legion Conquistador enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of cards named Legion Conquistador, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. So let's stick to limited just for now.
Yeah.
If you get on this Conquistador train early, you could end up with like 6 of them or something.
Yeah.
And then every time you play one, you can put as many into your hand as you need to without having to go to discard. They are still just 3 mana 2/2s.
Yeah, the body on it is terrible. But I think if you look at it's not called Core Blade, but
come on, you can do it.
What's it called? Squadron Hawk?
Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, Squadron Hawk doesn't look that impressive, and then you play with it and you realise that it's amazing. So I wonder, could there be applications for this in Pauper? Maybe not. I think Pauper's too powerful for this card.
Pauper's actually more powerful than you'd expect it to be. But let's stick to limited for now if we can. I think this is less interesting in limited than it is in other formats because, as you say, it's just a 2/2 for 3 is not a good rate. It's not an exciting card.
If you've got one, you shouldn't play it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're playing this on turn 3, like it is, maybe it's enough card advantage. Maybe it is, and maybe there are some cards in this set that combo with it in such a way, like there's an uncommon that we'll get to later that needs 3 vampires to activate an ability, that kind of thing, but I feel like there's better ways to get to that point, right?
It's a fundamentally powerful effect.
Yeah.
But I think with this, it all comes down to how many you have. If you've got 6 of them, then suddenly that sounds pretty great.
Maybe at that point.
But if you've got 2 of them, it's still it's a 3 mana 2/2 that draws you a card that is a 3 mana 2/2, so it's not great, is it?
No.
But
it's like Self-Assembler. Self-Assembler was kind of like this, right?
Yeah.
And it never was actually that great.
It was fine. Didn't you have a draft with like 4 of them or something?
Yeah, mono red, and that was my top of my curve. I won. I 3-0'd that.
It was a good deck. It worked.
Anyway,
4/4 is better than a 2/2.
It is. But yeah, in other formats, of course, Squadron Hawk is what it makes you think of. Squadron Hawk, of course, it was in a deck that brought about quite a few bannings. It was being played alongside Batterskull, and
yeah, exactly. It was the blade in Core Blade that really
exactly, and you would, it filled that sort of role just perfectly, and it was Batterskull and Stoneforge Mystic that would you just needed creatures, and that was the easiest way to get it. But here's what I'm saying: Oketra's Monument.
Okay.
With this card, you're obviously only allowed 4, but Oketra's Monument decks don't really care how good the creature is that you're playing. All they care about is, can that card draw me another creature? And this can draw you 3. So
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm interested, but I'm not sold.
okay.
Is where I stand on
No,
that.
you're
I
a
think.
hard man to sell to be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. I don't take any nonsense, and
No.
unless I've just got an opinion about something, in which case I'll talk about it for 10 minutes.
So, moving on to the next common,
Yeah.
we're going to introduce a token here, and
Oh,
this
nice.
is a theme amongst vampire cards. Queen's Commission costs 2 and a white for a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink.
I like this.
I mean, would you say, here's my question, is it better or worse than Dragon Fodder?
I think it's probably on par because I think
'Cause it balances out.
the extra mana is real.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the
lifelink is too.
Yeah, and I think the idea, what it seems to be so far, is if when you're playing creatures with lifelink, the real sort of benefit of that is it lets you last a bit longer, and it also makes your pump spells insane.
Yes.
Like adding gain however much life onto any pump spell seems pretty spicy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's going to be utility for this. The fact that it's a common
Mhm.
makes me suspect that it's probably not busted. You know, it's just 2 little bodies. They're not going to make a huge impact. It makes cards like this always make me look at 3/1s and wonder why I would ever want to play them. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
always end up running them. So.
Well, it's a card to bear in mind, and this token, just in general, because there are quite a few cards that make them, is worth bearing in mind if you're playing 3/1s. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
there's no -1/-1 counters in this set, so your tokens aren't going to get picked off. And as we go through these cards, some of the commons and uncommons and rares, in fact, all have applications to these tokens where the lifelink in particular becomes really cool.
Yeah, nice
So
one.
bear it in mind as we keep talking. Next, Paladin of the Bloodstained costs 3 and a white for a 3/2 vampire knight. When Paladin of the Bloodstained enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. I got high hopes for this common. I think.
It's a really good rate. 3/2 and a 1/1 for 4 mana. It's essentially a 4/3 with 2 different bodies.
And you've got
one of which has lifelink.
lifelink attached to one of them. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like white tends to get cards like this, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's
Sandscape Outcast.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's one that.
plenty of cards with Fabricate in white as well.
Yeah, Fabricate. That was what I was
so-
thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this does look strong. There's if you're talking about draft in particular, it can be a bit risky to pick up too many 4-drops. Like
That's a slot that you often.
I
Yeah.
often make the mistake of picking up too many 4-drops, and it doesn't. You don't necessarily immediately notice the mistake until you start playing, and you realise I'm not actually always going to get to 4 mana.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here with my rubbish 2-drops, waiting to play. What is on turn 4 a really good rate.
It's possible this card would have been better if it cost 1 less mana and was a 2/1 that did the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good either way. It does seem like a strong comment,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, definitely.
Cards like this tend to do really well,
Yeah.
so I'd expect this to do the same.
Yeah. Moving on, Anointed Deacon costs 4 and a black for a 3/3 vampire cleric. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target vampire get +2/+0 until end of turn.
That's pretty nice.
Here's a reason why those tokens are good, right? Because this is a common as well, and you can just throw your tokens at them forever. Like as long as long as it's not an enrage card that you're coming up against, then you're safe to just gain some life, take out their smaller creatures,
Make your own 3/1.
make your own 3/1. I mean, this is the only other card I know that does like literally this ability is Battle Rattle Shaman.
Yeah,
Which
I feel like
was-
there's probably a few others. Like it seems like there'll have been some. There was that card in Ether Revolt, the Black Red Uncommon.
Weldfast Engineer.
Weldfast Engineer, yeah, that did something similar.
but that's to artifacts.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like again like it is quite a lot of mana to pay for a 3/3, but if your deck is
Definitely
synergistic, and this does specify vampire, so it should come around late, but if your deck is nice and synergistic and you are able to make a fair few of these tokens, this card could be a real all-star in the right deck.
Yeah, it could be a real nuisance. The caveat with this one is when you look at it from a situation where you're not really doing so hot.
Yeah.
This is a really bad card to draw if you're not winning.
Yeah, that is true.
Because the bonus only happens on your turn. You can't use it to block something that you shouldn't normally be able to block. So it is a card where if you're in a situation where you're the one getting attacked and you're the one who is ultimately needing to produce something that's going to save you, this card is not going to do that. And for a 5-mana creature, you usually hope that it would.
Yeah, you are right.
That a 5-mana creature would be enough of a wall that it could get in front of, say, a 3/2.
No, I think that you are completely right. This goes in an aggressive deck, and it basically is the top of the curve for that deck, right?
Or maybe one or two of them.
Yeah, and you're relying on your treasure tokens to actually cast the thing, like that sort of thing. Last common, we're just going to talk about a combat trick because we haven't talked about any yet.
All right, bring it.
Some of them actually are pretty good in this set.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
The good ones seem to be white and black. So vampires don't have as many actual vampire creatures as the dinosaurs do. They're about equal with the merfolk, I believe, but they do have quite good combat tricks and really good removal at like uncommon and rare. Vampire's Zeal.
I thought you were going to talk about Vampire's Zeal.
Costs a white mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a vampire, it gains first strike until end of turn.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about this without vampires, it's a bit below average, I'd say. White mana for +2/+2 has been the norm for a while now, and it's never been amazing.
It's not, but you can do worse.
You can do worse, definitely. But once you cast it on a vampire, that's really big news.
Yeah. If you cast this on a token, on a vampire token, and take out their 3-drop and gain 3 life,
how embarrassing for them.
Yeah. So there are some real applications. We will talk about these cards in another video, but there's Sheltering Light and Skullduggery. These are white and black, really cheap white and black combat tricks that look pretty cool. So that's something to bear in mind when you're playing those
play
colours.
around as well. If your opponent's got 1 white mana up, your mind should be thinking about Vampire's Zeal, and you should be looking to see if they've got any vampires.
Yeah, true. Moving on to the uncommons. We're just going to do these in ascending converted mana cost order because I couldn't generate a narrative with them.
Right.
Yeah, are you okay with that?
Sounds like you tried.
A bit.
Alright, cool.
Some 1-drops for you. We know how you love a 1-drop.
Yeah, we know how I love a 1-drop.
Duskborn Sky Marcher. Costs a white mana for a 1/1 vampire cleric with flying. You can pay white and tap it. Target attacking vampire gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
I'm not convinced.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because you have to pay to tap it. If it was just tap, target attacking vampire gets +1/+1 until end of turn, I'd be like, alright, yeah, maybe. But I'm looking at this as I think, yes, in a deck full of vampires, this has a use, but I think in general, this is not a particularly good limited card.
I would say you definitely have to be in the vampire deck. You have to be able to reliably target vampires. But once you do, I think this card's quite good. Bear in mind, raid is in this set, and this card triggers raid every turn you need it to.
Yeah.
Safely, relatively safely. And I think if it just tapped to give +1/+1, it would be too good. I think paying white is fine. It makes combat any spell or card that has an ability that allows you to, at instant speed during combat, distribute extra power and toughness to your creatures. You know how
yeah, no, I like
cards,
the ability.
Cards like Skullduggery and Subtle Strike and stuff like that can be...
No, I like the ability. What I dislike is the fact that you have to pay this mana as an investment. Because I'm comparing this to Anointer of Champions. I can't help it.
No, yeah, of course.
Anointer of Champions is way better than this. Like, streets ahead. You don't have to pay anything extra when you tap it. Granted, it doesn't have flying, but that was pretty much never relevant. Anointer of Champion could get any attacking creature. It's just... There's obviously a use for this. It's obviously good if you've got an aggressive vampires deck.
Yeah.
But again, what happens when this is the creature you draw? What happens when...
You could say that about a million cards.
But there are cards you can't say it about, is the thing, and this isn't one of them. It's my point. Like a 4-mana 3/4 does a lot more for you in the situations where you play it than this does. Like this is a card that helps you win when you're ahead. It helps you do more damage. It doesn't help you block at all. It doesn't block very well.
No. I mean, I think you have to try not to judge these. Have to try not to always judge these cards in a vacuum as vanilla cards, because these...
I agree that if you're playing loads of vampires, then sure, maybe throw one in, but I don't think it's that powerful.
But part of what made Amonkhet Hour of Devastation so fun to draft is that you could draft archetypes. You could draft cards where you were the only person on the table that would go, oh my god, I really need this card. Everyone else would have no interest in it.
Yeah.
This is a card that rewards you for being good at drafting, for remembering your picks, for knowing where you want to be, for knowing what your curve looks like, how many vampires you have. This card could come really late, and you'll be ecstatic to get it, because
I don't think I'd play this card in most limited decks. Is the thing.
If you're in an aggro, vampires are the aggro deck here, right? So if you're in an aggro deck, I'm all right. We'll
I think we clearly disagree here.
Yeah, yeah.
So let us know in the comments which side you're on. Spoilers, I'm right. And we'll see how we feel a few weeks after the format's out.
Yeah, we will, won't we?
Yeah, we will. Conflict, man. I didn't expect us to get into such a debate about Dustborn Skymarcher.
I bet Paolo Vita Davidarosa loves it.
Yeah, but
he's going to play this set and be like, by the way, this set's really aggressive. The thing is,
this is what happened with the Ketchers Monument. So I was very wrong about that.
No, so was I. Here is a 1-drop that I don't think is good.
All right, bring
Vicious Conquistador costs a black mana for a 1/2 vampire soldier. Whenever Vicious Conquistador attacks, each opponent loses 1 life.
All right, yeah, that's
it's
not great, is it?
Yeah, it's a pseudo 1 mana 2/2 in that if your opponent can't block it, it attacks for 2 mana.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they play a 2-drop, this card is basically nullified, right?
Basically useless.
Yeah, which you couldn't say about Duskborn Skymarcher. And even if Duskborn Skymarcher can't attack, it can pump whichever creature is most relevant. I'm going to keep coming back to it.
If you want to keep coming back to it, you can. But yeah, we've seen cards like Vicious Conquistador before, and they haven't been very good.
No.
They certainly look good on paper.
Yeah,
but they're not.
No.
They're just not. Don't bother with it.
Was it Night Market Lookout was the 1/1 for 1 that when it became tapped?
There was also Mardu something or other, Mardu Shadow Sphere that did a similar thing to this. There was also, I might be wrong in saying Thornbow Archer, but it was an elf from Origins that was
if you control an elf.
If they didn't have an elf, it did this same effect, and it wasn't very good.
No, they never are. This card, however, is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A Danto Vanguard costs 1 and a white for a 1/1 vampire soldier.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the Danto Vanguard is attacking, it gets +2/+0.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay 4 life. A Danto Vanguard gains indestructible until end of turn.
What a silly card.
Talk about aggression. Talk about being aggressive. This card is so damn aggressive. Like
it's really aggressive. The thing I find a bit weird about this card is you can just get 3/1s for 1 and a white at common a lot of the time.
But it's an indestructible.
The indestructible ability is obviously the point, and that's what makes it uncommon. I just don't like. 4 life is quite a lot.
I go back and forth. I think the thing that you have to bear in mind is that if you're playing a vampire, let's not judge this card in a vacuum, because in a vacuum it's not good. But if you're in the vampire's deck and you have a really low curve and you're making loads of lifelinky tokens, maybe who cares about 4 life?
I think in a vacuum it could potentially be good. Actually, I think the ability is definitely strong. Gain indestructible, because it also means that it can chump block really well.
Yeah.
Not in a way that preserves your life total very well, admittedly, but if it's lose 4 or lose 8, then I know which way I'm going with it.
Here's
I'll try it. I'll try it, definitely.
This is the card that I need to talk about Modern for.
All right.
Because this is a way to instantly reduce your life as much as you would like.
Oh, right, okay.
Death Shadow has been one of the strongest decks for a long time, and it keeps going through different iterations. They keep banning cards, and they keep changing. I'm just going to put it out there.
Done.
Like, this, you can just pay for life as much as you want.
So you can go turn 1 birds or something, and then turn to this and Death Shadow?
Well, you could, but yeah, you could do.
It'd be a bit tricky.
The thing about Death Shadow is you can play it on turn 3 and still be really happy. But you can reduce your life to 1 on turn 2 with this card.
That's gross.
It's cool, isn't it?
Bolt.
The opposite of that card, I guess, Inspiring Cleric costs 2 and a white for a 3/2 vampire cleric. When Inspiring Cleric enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. It's like a Russian cleric.
It's like, hey, what's a sort of average 3-drop? How about a 3/2? Not a 2. No, a 3/2. Let's make it so that it can't attack into 2 drops. How much life should it gain? Just enough.
Just enough. Yeah,
enough to be unremarkable, but you'll often play it.
Well, cards,
I think is the.
Yeah. No. I think this card is probably just better than filler. Probably just better than filler, but maybe it's just filler.
I'm going to call it strict filler, but I think there's an argument for both, definitely. It depends how relevant the life gain ends up being.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this card as a side note is that normally a card like this would make its way into sideboards in Constructed, because a Russian Cleric, some decks ran 4 of, like the blue-white control decks ran loads in their sideboard. The thing is, Sunscourge Champion is just better than this, right? Like a lot better.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
I don't know how much players will see. This is an exciting one. Call to the Feast. Because apparently, God, they're ripping someone apart. Costs 2, a white and a black. For a sorcery, create 3 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink.
That seems good. That seems pretty good.
It does.
Sorcery, yeah?
Sorcery.
Good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you pick up a bunch of these and a bunch of Queen's Commissions, then you're in the market for a tokens deck.
Yeah. Or it just, I mean, stuff like this makes your pump spells better. It even, as much as it pains me to say it, a card like this is actually quite good with Dustborn Skymarcher.
Ha.
I'm not saying Dustborn Skymarcher to include now.
That's good enough, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. We'll see you later next time on I Win.
That is not what I said. But yeah, it's cards like this are great. Hordling Outburst, I think, introduced us to cards like this, and that card was so good. It was 3 mana
really
initially.
fun. Yeah, no lifelink.
They didn't have lifelink.
Yeah. No, this card is cool, and it's the first time since Hordling Outburst that a card similar to it has been printed. So I'd love a new tokens deck. We haven't had a tokens deck for a while, except for the Monument deck, but that's not conventionally tokens. It's kind of different. It makes tokens, but it's not. Yeah.
Will it being uncommon means it's unlikely that you'll just be able to draft a pure tokens deck, but you could certainly make a deck that exploits the tokens that you have.
Yeah. You could. Bishop of the Bloodstained costs 3 and 2 black for a 3/3 vampire cleric. When Bishop of the Bloodstained enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life for each vampire you control.
Hello.
I mean, if you're picking up Call to the Feasts and Queen's Offerings, Queen's Commissions, then this can drain for 7, drain for 8. Like, it depends how many tokens you make.
Yeah, this would have to be a rare if it gained life.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks pretty strong. It seems like the vampires in this set do have that sort of we are aggressive no matter what kind of vibe to them.
They are. Even the 5-drops, even the 6-drops seem to be pretty darn aggressive.
Hey, we're little, but we're going to do some damage. They're not. There are no beefy vampires because all the beefy cards are dinosaurs. They laid out all the powers and toughnesses and went dinosaur, 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 and then they saw a 3/3 and went, all right, vampire.
A 5-drop vampire. The body's unexciting, but this can just win the game. And if your opponent doesn't know you have it, and you know they block in such a way that it only reduces them down to 3, and then you just play this and win, cards are going to be cool. And similar to the Merfolk discussion, a lot of these uncommons specifically mention vampires, so hopefully only the vampire players will get it. No one's going to play a 3/3 for 5.
This card's rubbish if it's your only vampire.
Glorifier of Dusk. Costs 3 and 2 white for a 4/4 vampire soldier. You can pay 2 life. Glorifier of Dusk gains flying until end of turn. You can pay 2 life. Glorifier of Dusk gains vigilance until end of turn.
I like this.
Build your own Serra Angel.
Yeah, basically. And as and when you need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you won't need either of those abilities. Sometimes you'll need both.
And the thing is, right, like this card doesn't mention vampires, so you can go in any deck and will be serviceable in any deck.
But this is a serviceable 5-drop regardless.
Yeah, but if you are in the vampire deck, paying 2 life, I really don't think it's going to matter. You are the aggressive deck. You're gaining so much incidental life with your tokens and whatnot. But yeah, I think maybe to people who are slightly newer to Magic, this card might not look good because it's sort of like, well, it's just a 4/4 for 5. You've got to pay so much life to, but if it's dealing 4 damage to your opponent, then it's worth paying 2 life. If it's picking a creature out of the sky, if it's attacking and can then block with vigilance, that's pretty cool.
If you're paying 4 life to deal 4 damage to your opponent, as long as you're not dead,
as long as you've got more life than them,
that's still all right.
Dethlefs Ancient costs 4 and 2 black for a 4/4 vampire knight with flying. It has an activated ability. Tap 3 untapped vampires you control. Return Dethlefs Ancient from your graveyard to your hand.
Pretty spicy.
It's pretty cool, right?
It's pretty spicy. 3's a fair amount, but we've seen ways to make 3 vampires.
Yeah, you can make 3 vampires with 1 card. Here's the thing, it costs a lot. If you're in this dedicated vampire deck, which again, you'd have to be with this because it specifically mentions vampires, this will be the absolute top of the curve. And there will be games when you can't pay for it, but once you do, it kind of just doesn't stop. As long as you can tap 3 untapped vampires, then even if you just return it once, that's a lot of value.
Yeah, and a 4/4 flyer in limited, I would, in quite a few decks I've had, I would have paid 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer.
Yeah.
The rate is not bad. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with those stats. And yeah, the potential for mischief is high, isn't it? You could potentially get this out way earlier than you should if you go vampire into some way to discard this card and then tap
Yeah,
3
of course.
vampires on turn 4.
Yeah.
It's shenanigans and it's unlikely, but it would be cool if you did it.
It only returns it to your hand, not the battlefield. So you could do that.
Oh, you've ruined.
I thought I should let you know. I was confused.
That's terrible.
The last uncommon we're going to talk about doesn't mention vampires at all, nor is it a creature. But as I was as I was looking through these cards, I was thinking, right, so many 1/1 tokens with lifelink. I need some mass pump.
Mm-hmm.
Rallying Roar costs 2 and a white for an instant. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. That, as far as I'm aware, is the best mass pump effect in white or black in this set. There is a trumpet blast called like Dinosaur Stampede or Here Come the Dinosaurs or Run Away the Dinosaurs, but that's in red. So
yeah, this is actually a pretty. As far as effects like this go, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I think this. If you're in this vampire deck and you are picking up these token makers, you have to prioritize this kind of card because it can win you the game real quick.
There are formats where cards like this become first pickable. I'm not saying this is one of them, but there are formats where cards like this can just dominate.
Yeah.
These are also cards that people. It's weird. Sometimes people really overestimate these cards and sort of think, oh, imagine the sick plays when I untap all of my creatures and block all of their creatures.
Yeah.
And then it is also a card that requires you to have creatures out, requires you to have the mass to use it. So yeah, if you're building that deck, then great. But just because someone beats you with it doesn't necessarily mean that it is always going to be a game-winning card. Because it's a card where you're not going to cast it if it
doesn't do anything.
You'll probably forget all the times where you don't play this card because it doesn't do anything. And you'll just brush them off as bad luck or your opponent getting lucky, when in reality you shouldn't have been playing 5 Rallying Roars.
No, I don't think I'd draft 5 Rallying Roars.
Scared?
For this vampire deck, the untap them thing, I'm not really even bothered about. It's more the punt. But there are other decks where untapping will be really cool. Surprise blocks.
I love surprise blocks. I think it's one of the most satisfying things you can do in Limited is when you make it look like you've made a really stupid attack and you just untap everything and wreck them.
And they attack and then go to their life pad and you're like, no.
Hold on 1 second, mister.
We're going to go on to our rares and our singular mythic. We'll start with Mavren Fane, Dusk Apostle.
That's a good name.
It is, isn't it? I wish my name was Mavren Fane.
Do you?
Yes. Yes, I do. More so than I wish it was Dethlefs Ancient or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
This costs 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary vampire cleric. Whenever 1 or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink.
Interesting.
Yeah, this card's cool, right? I mean, it's 1 or more, so it's not for every creature that attacks make a token. It's not that good. But if you play this on turn 3 and then attack, then you're making a token. Which, just side note, that makes Duskborn Skymarch a bit better, doesn't it?
No.
So does Dethlefs Ancient.
No,
so does Rallying Roar. Sorry.
If your whole argument for that card is based around the fact that you're playing 1/1s, then I'm not into it.
No, that's not my...
Mavren Fane is a good card. Look, I'm not going back to that stupid uncommon. Mavren Fane looks cool. He can make a vampire the turn you drop him. If he doesn't, then there's potential. Obviously, the flip side is when you play him and they've just got a 3/3 out, and he just stands there looking like an idiot.
I mean, similar to the Merfolk Lord, I forget his name, Doppler, something like that. It is a 2/2 for 3 at the end of the day. So they're all. If you go no play on turn 1, no play on turn 2, this on turn 3, that's probably not going to be. That's not where you want to be. You'll probably be behind.
This card does look really fun in the games where your opponent gets mana screwed.
Yeah.
You know those games where you've not even got a good hand, and it's got like a bunch of lands and this guy, and then they just don't have anything, and you just make enough vampires to win on its own.
But maybe, I mean, if you draft enough combat tricks, then Mavren Fane can attack more safely, and it doesn't have to attack. You can throw a token at your opponent and make a token. Like it's
just for the sake of it.
Yeah,
just to prove a point.
Just to send a message.
Yeah.
So probably not the most exciting vampire rare in the set, oddly, since it's one of the legendaries, but it's definitely good. I don't think I'd first pick it.
No, I wouldn't.
But
definitely wouldn't.
If you see it and you're in vampires, or you think you might be, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'd pick Lightning Strike over this all day.
Yeah, me too. Blood-Crazed Paladin. Costs 1 and a black for a 1/1 Vampire Knight. It has Flash. Blood...
Do you want to try that again?
that's the stuff I used to edit out.
Nah, keep it.
Blood-Crazed Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn.
This seems like a constructed card to me.
I think in
Potentially
limited,
good in limited.
if you're in limited and 2 creatures die in a turn, you just flash in a 3/3 at the end of the turn. That's
you do.
not bad.
You do.
The thing is, like,
It's a bit of setup, but
well, not really. What game of limited doesn't have 2 creatures? What it happens?
you've got to be playing on my level. When creatures don't die, they just get pushed aside. Yeah.
Says the man who thinks removal is king. Anyway, this has been quite an argumentative
show. Yeah, I
one.
like it. It's clear that I've had like 4 days of my job and I'm beginning to resent everything.
Anyway, so yeah, I think the first time I read this card, I sort of thought, well, how often is it going to be a 7/7? And then I realised it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be a 3 or higher for it to be a good rate. Even a 2 is fine.
We can flash it in to kill a 3/1.
You can.
Yeah.
You can do that.
It can be a removal spell.
But yeah, so in limited, I think it just comes in at the end of turns when there's been some trades and stuff.
Yeah.
Constructed, however, you're right. I think this card, like, if your opponent plays Hour of Devastation and kills your 6 creatures, and then you go, that's fine, but end of turn, here's like if they're
strikes
playing
me as cheeky sideboard tech. This card.
against like tap out control, it will be really cool. Or maybe in aggressive mirrors where you know that there's going to be trades.
I mean, the thing about aggro mirrors is there tend to be less trades in general because
True
both
enough.
sides want to keep their stuff alive.
Or maybe not because of Blood-Crazed Paladin.
Or maybe not. Maybe Blood-Crazed Paladin is the new Smuggler's Copter. I don't think it is.
I don't know why you just said that.
Just why not? It's a 2-drop. Give it a chance.
No, the card's cool, right? I think it's better than it looks. Again, I don't think I'd first pick it.
No, definitely not.
But there it is.
Definitely not.
So, we got 2 cards that kind of do good impressions of like modern staples.
Of better cards, yeah.
Bishop of Rebirth costs 3 and 2 white for a 3/4 vampire cleric. It has vigilance. Whenever Bishop of Rebirth attacks, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
I really like this card.
It does an impression of Sun Titan. That's what I'm saying.
It does an impression of Sun Titan. You do have to attack with it, but with 4 toughness, there's a chance it's not going to die. I think most of the time it's going to die if they can kill it.
Your opponent is, if they can, they will. The dream is that you have a trick and that they go all out and whatever. But even if not, even if it just goes in there and trades for a creature, it brings a 3-drop or less back, and that 3-drop can be.
It can be Maverin Fane.
It can.
Dusk Apostle.
It can be. It can be. Yeah, and it can be the best creature that you have in your graveyard at that time. So, I mean, limited obviously is a format about generating card advantage where you can, because it can be really, really difficult. And there's no better card advantage than literally cheating a creature onto the battlefield.
Yeah, and
free.
If your deck's got removal as it should, then if you can manufacture a situation where you get to attack with this twice,
it's crazy,
and the ability works twice, you've got enough creatures, then that's just crazy.
That has to be game over at that point. Yeah, this is a card I would first pick.
Definitely. Easily.
This card's really cool.
And then you can just prioritize some low drop creatures and just.
Yeah, I mean, 3 and less. That's a lot. That's significantly more than 2 and less. You know, that would change your draft. But yeah. Okay. Sanctum Seeker. I think you might like this one.
Go on.
It costs 2 and 2 black for a 3/4 vampire knight. Whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
Yeah, I do like this card.
Dave, do you like the card Hellrider at all?
Yeah, I do. I really do. And this isn't Hellrider.
No,
it is good.
It's strictly worse than Hellrider, of course. But
whenever a vampire, that's crazy.
Whenever a vampire, if you're attacking with a bunch of tokens, with all these crappy, stupid, the little 1/1 flyer, they all start draining your opponent. It's going to be, it's huge.
It's going to be horrifying.
Yeah.
And you know what I like about this the most?
What?
Even if you've got no other vampires, it's a 4 mana 3/4.
Yeah, it triggers itself.
Card's never bad.
Yeah.
This card is never bad.
But it triggers itself.
And it triggers itself. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm just, even if you ignore all the text, it's still a solid creature.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. So it's this is a card where you'll always be like, yes, okay, I'll play this.
Yeah, but this is the kind of card that, like, if you go all vampires 1, 2, 3, and then this, and you've made some tokens on the side,
I call a judge and demand that
you
my
can win
opponent
on,
must be cheating.
Yeah, you can win on turn 5. This card's really strong. It might be the best vampire. We've got one more vampire to go, and it's mythic. So tell me what you think.
All right.
As with most mythics, it's kind of hard to evaluate.
Yeah.
But Sanctum Seeker is my top pick for vampires so far. Right.
This card looks strong.
Even though it does force you into the vampire deck slightly.
It doesn't even. It's still just a good rate 4-drop.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Definitely a first pick. Finally, Vona, Butcher of Magan.
Vona's such a stupid name.
It is a wee bit.
Vona.
But just you wait. Vona costs 3, a white and a black, for a 4/4 legendary vampire knight. It has vigilance and lifelink. So a 5-drop, a 4/4 for 5 with vigilance and lifelink. You can tap it and pay 7 life. Destroy target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only during your turn.
Well, this is someone's commander, isn't it?
I think this card's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It
5 mana, 4/4 vigilance lifelink with the option when you feel like it to pay 7 life to
Yeah,
get
right.
rid of whatever.
You could ignore that effect and it's still a really good card.
Exactly, yeah.
Paying 7 life, as I've said a few times now, I really don't think you care if you're playing in the vampires deck. I think you're going to be gaining life and you're going to be being so aggressive.
Making it sound like the vampires deck can't lose. It's like
No,
you will always have enough life to pay.
I'm saying that of all of if you look across most decks
of the
decks,
yeah.
this is the one that can pay 7 life. And there are definitely times where you would rather pay 7 life than allow whatever to exist.
It's like when you get your opponent down to 1 life and you're at 20 life and you realise you're about to lose the game because they've just dropped this card that you can't deal with. When you've got this mythic rare, then it's
those
problem solved.
1 out of 4 drafts when you open this. No, but I think
1 out of 4.
That was.
You reckon you're going to open loads of bonus?
That was sarcasm.
Well, I didn't get it.
Man,
comment if you got it.
Let's. Jeez, are we recording tomorrow as well? You're going to be spent by that point. It's going to be Friday evening.
No, we're not. We can't record on a Friday evening.
Right, good. I don't want
better things to do. I've got a social life to pretend I have.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So if your opponent is lucky enough to open another mythic, to open a planeswalker, to have some big flyer that you can't deal with, you just start to pick off their permanents. And what this card, I mean, bear in mind, if this card is attacking every turn, then that ability almost says pay 3 life, because you're gaining 4 back from this self-same card.
I hadn't even thought about that.
And what you can do is attack and then use the ability to destroy their blocker. It is cool. Quite versatile.
Yeah.
Because of the vigilance of Chaos. So yeah, I think that I don't think pay 7 life is going to be as big as it seems, because not only do the vampires gain you life, but this card itself, it feasibly gains you 4 life a turn.
Is it better than Gristlebrand?
You know what?
Who would you rather pay 7 life?
What would you rather do? Pay 7 life at instant speed as many times as you want to draw 7 cards, or pay 7 life during your turn once to destroy a thing? You know that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, but this costs less.
So you're saying this is the new reanimator target?
This is the new piece of reanimator. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, goodbye. It's been fun. We've been talking about vampires. We've been disagreeing about vampires.
Yeah, we really have.
Let us know what you think. Give us some opinions. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Jack? I think we both made valid points. I think we're both equally wrong. So let us know. Follow us on Twitter. We are at Thriving Scrubs. Give the video a subscribe if you like this. There's more to come. And we will catch up with you next time to talk about...
Pirates.
I
can't wait.
We'll see you there. Yar Mihatis, etc. Goodbye.
Goodbye.